Welcome everyone to Your Our Unity, a show that wishes to spread a spirit of peace and love in the world, one conversation at a time.
None of that affects how you are going to change the world.
That's right.
No, it does not take one person to change the world, but it takes one person to believe in themselves.
Yes.
That they can make a difference.
I love
to
that.
Inspire others.
And that's why, for me, I try to make it my purpose now to try to help other people realize their self-worth.
Yeah.
Because it's so sad that so many of us, we get destroyed based off of what other people have to say.
Yeah.
I would say do it in your own way. Make sure you're doing it on your own accord and take a risk.
Go out there and live your life passionately. Believe in everything that you're doing and believe in the fact that you will accomplish every single goal.
Welcome to Society, Culture, and You with co-host Dr. Casey Jones here on Your Our Unity.
Good night, everyone. Welcome to Society, Culture, and You. This show delves into the intricate web of human interaction, shared beliefs, and the rich tapestry of customs that define our world. Every day we navigate through complex social structures, cultural landscapes that shape our identities, influence our decisions, and connect us to one another. This show explores the fascinating dynamics between society, culture, and the individual. We'll examine the forces that mold our worldviews, the traditions that bind communities, and the unique perspectives that make us who we are. From the rituals that mark life's milestones to the unspoken rules that govern everyday interactions, we uncover the layers of meaning behind our actions and belief. So, welcome to Society, Culture, and You. Tonight, we are blessed to have a man that I've known for about almost a year, not even a year. His name is Pastor Colin A. Jones. He's a native of Columbus, Ohio, and he received a Bachelor of Arts degree in religion in 2003 from Morehouse College. While at Morehouse, Pastor Jones participated in many things such as the Morehouse College Glee Club, the College Chapel Assistants, and placed honorable mention in the Otis Moss Oratorical Contest. That's a big deal. Pastor Jones accepted his call into preaching and pastoral ministry and was licensed by the New Salem Baptist Church in Columbus, Ohio on October 2005. Upon graduation from Morehouse College, he entered Princeton Theological Seminary in Princeton, New Jersey, and received a Master's of Divinity degree in 2006. Between both institutions, Colin was the recipient of numerous awards and honors, such as the Oprah Winfrey and UPS Scholar Award, the John Allen Swink Prize in Preaching, and recipient of the Charles J. Reller Abiding Memorial Fund Award. Upon graduation from Princeton in 2006, he accepted a call to serve at Mount Airy Baptist Church in Bridgeport, Connecticut, as their first youth pastor. He served also Mount Airy Baptist Church for 2 years and relocated back to New Jersey and served as a prevention educator and coordinator of the Roselle Family Success Center, where their mission is to prevent child abuse and neglect. Along with his esteemed wife, Pastor Jones is the former pastor of Shaker Heights Community Church in Shaker Heights, Ohio, and faithfully served the congregation for 6 years. While serving that congregation, he was very engaged with the United Church of Christ denomination by serving on the board of directors for the Ohio Conference Western Reserve Association and as a delegate for the Western Reserve Association. In 2011, Pastor Jones was a contributor to an online publication for the National Black Church Initiative. He is a member of the 100 Black Men of Greater Cleveland. And in spring of 2016, Pastor Jones had the distinguished honor to be inducted into the Martin Luther King Jr. Board of Preachers and the Martin Luther King Jr. College of Pastoral Leaders through Morehouse College. Recently, Pastor Jones received a Doctor of Ministry degree from United Theological Seminary in Dayton, Ohio. His dissertation was entitled A Paradigm Shift, a model for clergy and congregations to partner and adopt holistic approaches to health and wellness. Currently, he is married to the lovely and exceptional Reverend Dr. Imani Jones for 23 years, and the couple are co-pastoring the Advent UCC Church in Columbus, Ohio, as a husband and wife team for the past 6.5 years. They are proud parents of Tyshawn, Dominique, and Colin II. His deepest desire as a minister of the gospel is to bring forth real and relevant ministry to the church, the community, and the nation and the world. Let us all greet Pastor Colin Jones. Hello, Pastor Colin. How are you?
I'm doing very, very well. Thank you so very much.
Good.
It's good to see you.
It's good to see you too. I know we have known each other. It'll probably be about 9 months or so since we went to Ghana in October 2023.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, my husband and I sat down for dinner with you and your beautiful wife, Imani, and it was a good time we had, wasn't it?
It was a great dialogue because not only having the opportunity and the privilege to go to Ghana and to have that foundation, that sense of history, and just being and reconnecting with the mother continent, but also to build connection and relationship with you and your husband, as you all are inspiration for vision, for implementing vision to making a difference, not only in New York, but across the world as well. So I'm just grateful to have the continued connection.
Well, thank you so much. That's beautiful. Your story, and according to your bio, I know people are probably thinking we're going to talk all about ministry, but we're really going to talk about heart health. And I can't wait. You shared that story with us while in Ghana, and I knew that you and your wife would just be wonderful people to talk to let the viewers understand more about heart health. So my first question, set up for me your life a year or two before you had your life-changing event. What was it looking like? What was your family like in church?
So I'm from Columbus, Ohio, and life was good. Life was lifing, right?
Yep.
That my wife and I were serving together as pastor of Advent United Church of Christ Church. My children were, my oldest son was living in Cincinnati, doing his thing at UC, as well as my daughter. She was in high school. I want to say a junior in high school, and my youngest son was in middle school. Life was good. I'm working out as I normally would. There were no changes in my routine, so to speak. Life was just a steady, normal, until this event that just kind of changed the trajectory of my entire life. And my mother was still here. My mother passed away in 2020, but I primarily moved from New Jersey to Columbus to take care of my mom. Now, even though my mother at the time was very independent and doing her own thing, living, with my brother, her son, I came to still help and to be in assistance. For example, my my mother's cell phone at times would just go off and it would go on. And I said, Mom, when I move home, I'm tired of not being able to have access to you.
Yeah.
So the very first thing that I'm doing is I'm going to put you on my cell phone. That way, my cell phone plan. That way, I have unlimited, access to you, always to make sure that you're good. So that was like my first major reason outside of wanting to do ministry here in Columbus and be closer to my mom. And my father had also passed recently when I moved home in
My
2012.
condolences.
I appreciate it so much. I genuinely do. So, life was good. Life
Mhm.
was good. And then, this was a huge fork, but also something that was so tragic
Mhm.
uh, has turned into a testimony.
Amen to that. Amen to that.
Problem
Yeah.
turned into such a praiseworthy, experience.
Hmm.
And when we take perspective of the pain in our lives, as I was faced with the critical question, there are some who experienced what I did and did not survive. There are
Mm-hmm.
some who experienced what I experienced and they're just trying to live life as normal as they can or to develop a new normal. And then there are others who experience and they want to do something with it.
Yes.
And that is the camp that I fall under, that I want to do something with it.
Well, that's a great camp to be in, Colin. Great camp to be in.
Mm-hmm.
Before you share what happened, I heard you say that you worked out as usual.
Yes. Yes. So when I moved back home, I've always had challenges with my weight. I come from a big family, and my father was diabetic. My father was overweight. My entire family was overweight, and I was on a journey of wanting to become a natural bodybuilder.
Oh,
And
okay.
so my dream is to compete in a natural bodybuilding competition.
All right.
That is the goal. However, I have learned since then the difficulty of accomplishing such a goal because you have to be all in.
Mm,
Uh, I have accomplished many things in my life, and I'm grateful for all the things that I've been privileged to accomplish. However, some of the things that I accomplished did not require all of me, or I
mm,
did not put all of me into it, and I was still relatively successful.
mm-hmm.
Regarding becoming bodybuilder, losing weight, you have to put all of yourself into it, or else it's not going to work.
Right.
And even though I was working out, as we'll get into in just a few moments, my consistency um, proved to be a impediment to not realizing my goals, and
Mm,
eventually did influence what ended up happening to me a year from
okay.
when we started the conversation. Yes, ma'am.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So tell us about your story.
Yes. So November 14th, 2019.
Mm,
This November will be 5 years. But November 14th, 2019, it was a Thursday evening. I was in the studio of my personal trainer, me, as well as my gym partner. And then I began to experience this really intense burning sensation.
mm,
And I had no idea what was going on. And it was a particular grueling cardiovascular activity.
mm,
The entire hour that we were that we were working out, and I work out 3 days a week with my trainer, Monday, Thursdays, and Saturdays.
okay.
And it was so intense. I told my trainer I need to stop just for a moment. I need to regroup and recollect myself. And when I stopped, I began having a nauseous sensation, and I ended up going to the bathroom and I vomited twice.
Mm,
No idea why. And I went back into the studio so that I could just finish the last set. Just want to finish the last set, but the pain was so intense I couldn't finish.
mhm.
And I ended up telling my trainer, I got to go. I'm not sure what's going on, but I just need to go. It took
Yeah.
me forever to put my clothes back on. And so I got in the car and I just laid my seat back to attempt to comfort myself, to console myself. And my trainer came to the door and she was getting ready to go. And she said, am I okay? Does she need to call a squad? I'm like, no, I'm good. I got to go pick up my son down the street because he was in swimming. My son is a swimmer, so he was at the local YMCA. So soon after she left, I drove to the YMCA and I called my wife and I said, baby, I don't know what's going on. I have a really intense burning situation and I'm scared. Yeah. I get to the YMCA and I pulled into the parking lot. Now, my son would know that something is wrong. He's around 12, 13 years old now. And I always pull up at the front door for him to get right on in. And now he's having to walk to the car and he's like, Dad, what's going on? You know? Right. And so I call my son my Googler in chief. All right. Because my son, as he was concerned and asking questions, he was Googling my symptoms. And
thank God for him, right?
Right. Thank God for him.
Yeah.
And he said, Dad, I think you're having a heart attack. And I'm like, and so now the moment that he says these words, I have to manage myself, right? Because I'm already scared and I don't want to alarm him further. So I'm doing my best to remain calm as my wife and my daughter, they're on their way. So they finally get to the YMCA. My daughter takes Colin home and my wife takes me to, the hospital. And on the way, I said, baby, I've never had heartburn before. So maybe this is really intense heartburn. So let's just stop at a CVS. I could pick up a Pepto-Bismol or something like that. And I can just go home and get into bed. And I'm grateful for wives, right? I'm grateful for women who are much wiser, right? And she told me, no.
Good.
No, we are not stopping and taking you home. And had she listened to me without question, I would have died then.
My goodness.
I get to the hospital and I wanted to go to Ohio State Medical Center, the main campus, but she told me, but we were about to pass by the OSU East campus, and I said, just take me anywhere. Like I just need to go. I just need to go.
Closest place, right?
Closest place, just to the closest place. And I said, once we got there, they did the triage and they said, this is something. And I'm like, well, what's something? But she didn't have the authority to tell me. And so we go back into the ER and there was a whole team waiting for me. And I'm like, what is going on? And everything happened so fast. Everything happened so fast. They gave me a pill and I said, I can go home now, right? and they said, no, sir, you're having a heart attack. And I'm like, what? I'm crying. I'm scared. They stripped me. And they have this expression in the ER that time is life. Time is life.
And you were how old again?
This was 5 years ago. So this is when I was 40.
Wow.
Yeah. When I was 41, actually, when I was 41. And they take me up to the 5th floor to the cath lab. And I'm waiting for the cardiologist to come from OSU main campus to OSU East. And they prepare me for a stent through my wrist as well as through my groin. And I'm waiting for the doctor to come. And during that time period, I'm vulnerable.
Yes.
I'm freezing. It's very cold in that cath lab.
Yeah.
And I'm shivering. There's no blanket. and I'm vulnerable to what my heart is going to do or not going to do.
Right.
And I'm just lost. And I'm talking to God. If this is it, Lord, forgive me for everything, that I've done, everything that I've done. And then the doctor shows up, Dr. Quinn Capers IV, a Black man.
Okay, nice.
He comes in and he introduces himself to me and he says, Mr. Jones, I'm going to take care of you. And in that moment, I was so proud, so overwhelmed. And my very first thought is, I can't wait to tell my son that a Black man is in my life.
That makes a difference when you see yourself across
You see yourself
with that white coat on, doesn't it?
That's right. It makes a huge difference. Representation is important. And to see someone that looks like you and to later learn the reputation, the stellar reputation of Dr. Capers and how he is held in the highest of esteem at Ohio State, it made me even more grateful. And I look to my left and I see the imaging screen where my blockage, because I ended up having my left coronary artery was 80% blocked.
80%.
It was 80% blocked.
Wow.
And my right coronary artery was 100% blocked.
My goodness. Okay.
And
so a functioning of only 20% in your entire heart?
Yeah. My heart was actively dying.
Yeah.
It was actively dying. And I could see when he placed the stents in, and I didn't know this at the time that he was placing the stents in, but I looked at the screen and I likened it to a football field where my blood was hitting the 50-yard line. And then once he did what he was going to do, it went to the end zone. And he said, Mr. Jones, this heart attack is over. And
wait. So you did mention before that they told you after triage that you're having a heart attack. And I wondered if you had a heart attack or you were in the process of still having one. So you're telling me that I
was still having that heart attack. Yes, ma'am.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I was still having that heart attack. And the entire time, that intense burning was throughout until he had placed the stent in. And that is when I felt the relief.
I can only imagine that relief.
That is when I felt that relief.
Wow.
And when I was taken upstairs to the ICU, by now it's around 1:00 in the morning. So when I started having the heart attack, it was around 7:30 that evening. And when I got to the hospital, we're talking now it's around 9-ish. And I get into the ICU around 1-something in the morning. And the nurse, the charge nurse, she said to me, almost her very first words were, Mr. Jones, you have 4 stents that were placed.
Okay.
And that is a lot at any one time for someone so young as yourself. And my son, who came the next day, is my Googler in chief. I had no idea what a stent even looked like. And he Googled what stents look like. And I was tremendously like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And this event has affected me so much that I have tattooed myself as a constant reminder of the pain, but also as a form of praise of what God has brought me through.
Yes.
Because it tells the story. And so on this arm,
Mm-hmm.
I have let's do this. There we go. I have
Mm-hmm.
well, you may not be able to see it the way it is, an anatomically correct heart.
Okay. Okay.
And then on this arm, it shows the process of the stents,
Wow.
and how they went through my wrist and pushed the line up through my heart.
Mm.
They inflated the balloon, deflated the balloon, and left the stent.
Hmm.
I was in the hospital for a week, and but each one of the nurses when I was in East ICU, they all gave me something different that I needed. One lady, she was very firm with me, but it was rooted and grounded in care,
Yeah.
and in genuine concern.
Mm.
Mr. Jones, you have to get yourself together. Boom, 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 boom.
Mm. Yeah.
Like that's what I needed. I didn't take offense at it. Like, she was very firm, but it was rooted in genuine care and concern.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I have a family, I have kids, etc. The following night, a man was using all of this jargon that I had never heard before.
Mm-hmm.
And so this medical terminology that I now have to learn, right? And so I had to tell him, just break it down for me. And so he broke it down on an elementary level, and that was very, very helpful. Another nurse the following day gave me tips of other options that I can drink, for example,
Nice.
instead of drinking Coca-Cola, right?
Right.
And then getting onto the main heart floor. I'll be honest with you, I was asked some very embarrassing questions.
Mm-hmm.
For your viewers, simple questions, but embarrassing.
Yeah.
For example, Mr. Jones, who is your doctor?
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Couldn't tell you.
My goodness.
Okay, Mr. Jones. Okay.
Yeah.
When was the last time you saw your doctor?
Wow.
Couldn't tell you. Not because I was adverse to going to the doctor,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But just, I'm young, right?
Healthy.
Life is life in life.
Life is life in. Yeah.
Right? So it was embarrassing.
Yeah.
To be asked the question repeatedly. OSU was a research hospital, so you're kind of getting different teams every day, right? But it was a question that I needed to be asked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That gave you a jolt into reality.
It gave me a jolt. It gave me a jolt. And when I was discharged, I had an appointment with a new primary care physician.
Nice. Yes.
I had an appointment with a cardiologist who saved my life. Dr. Quinn Capers took me on as a patient. So now I have a plan.
So before we get to the plan, let me ask you some questions.
Yes.
Because I wrote down you had severe burning in the chest.
Yes.
Probably a lot worse than heartburn, but
yes.
You don't know, right?
That's
and
right.
You had nausea, you vomited, and you had severe fatigue.
Yes. Yes.
Are there any other symptoms?
Yes. Not that I experienced, but there are other symptoms of heart attacks as well, such as shortness of breath, pain that is like traveling, whether it's down your arm or down your chest or down your back, those other symptoms as well. The burning, the overall chest cavity, chest pain. Now, my pain was very centralized to the heart itself, but it could also be across the chest cavity, shortness of breath, nausea, pain, traveling through your arm, etc.
Mhm.
So the symptoms may present differently, but
Right.
those are just some general symptoms. Yes, ma'am.
Right. And I think between men and women, sometimes women don't have many symptoms at all, I hear,
That's correct.
which
Yes.
has got to be very scary.
Very,
You
very scary. Very, very scary. Which is why it is important to be consistently connected
know?
to your healthcare provider.
Right, right.
And and it's important to be very mindful that health is wealth,
Hmm.
and to not wait until um, uh, the tragedy happens,
Right, right.
but to be intentional on prevention.
Hmm.
Uh, that's where we all uh,
Yeah.
that's where we all need to be. Oftentimes, we don't look at our health until something happens,
Something goes wrong.
and that's just
Absolutely.
and that's just normal, right?
Hmm.
But the main thing of what we can do, if we can be intentional on prevention,
Hmm.
especially when we're aware if we may have things within our family history, for example, it's just important to recognize who we are, where we are,
Yeah.
and trying to get ahead of the game.
We always try to talk ourselves out of
Mhm.
going to the doctor, calling the ambulance. It just seems to be second nature that we say, "Oh, it's nothing. It's gonna be nothing. Don't worry about it. I don't want to waste anyone's time." And
Yes, yes,
and
yes,
then I have something to do tomorrow. I can't.
yes,
So, what would you tell men and women, but especially men, because men are a
yes,
little harder to encourage to go to
yes,
the doctors.
yes,
What would you tell them from your experience?
yeah. Oftentimes it's rooted and grounded in fear,
Yeah.
um, and and procrastination.
Mm,
The fear of, I don't want to go because then the doctor's going to end up telling me something that, even if I think I'm relatively fine, they're always going to give me a list of what's going wrong. Same thing when we have challenges with our car, right? We don't want to really take our car in because the mechanic is going to tell us all the other things that we got to deal with.
mm,
So sometimes it is hard to face. And my son asked me a question recently, because I've had some other heart concerns in the very, very recent, within the
okay.
past month.
Mhm.
And my son asked me a very interesting question, my Googler in chief.
Yeah.
He said, "Are you scared?"
Mm,
And I paused because I had to wrestle with myself, and I had to say, "Colin, how are you going to answer this question?
mhm, mhm,
Are you going to be honest?
mhm.
Or are you going to give off this air
Mm,
of whatever?" And I
yeah,
said, "Yes,
yeah.
I am." Because I have to model
That's right.
responsible behavior
Mhm.
in front of my son.
That is rich.
I have to model responsible behavior in front of my daughter,
Mhm.
because they now know of my heart event.
Mhm.
They now, because I had my heart attack around at the age of 41,
Mhm.
10 years, when they get around 31, they need to be checking themselves,
Right.
right?
Okay.
And so how I model my health, my health journey, is for their improvement, their quality of life. And it is an expression, watch this,
Mhm.
my vulnerability is
Yes.
an expression of strength.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
It's not weakness.
That's
And
right.
we as men, we don't want to appear
Mhm.
vulnerable or weak.
Right.
And so we have to renegotiate and redefine what does manhood look like for ourselves, and not just be subject to the whims of society. Because if we limit ourselves to the whims of society, we will continue to get in a whole heap of trouble.
Absolutely.
Right. So in me renegotiating, what does strength versus vulnerability look like? Yes, I can be vulnerable in front of my son. It communicates intimacy, closeness, and says, yes, I am scared. And we're walking this journey together.
Yeah.
So my son and my daughter, they know what's going on with me. My daughter, who's going to be this future doctor, I share with her my results.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions for the doc or for the nurse? Because it's important. And it's also, when we talk about, getting back to your question earlier, not only is it fear, but it's also a lack of ownership.
That's good.
Ownership.
Yeah.
We have to own what's going on with us. And that takes courage to do. I get it. It takes courage to do. And courage is not the absence of fear, right? Courage, you can be scared and have courage at the same time. Courage is your ability to move forward even in the midst of it, right? And so when it comes to prevention, we just have to say the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. And if I make one step towards health, then I will likely increase the longevity and the quality, right? The quantity and quality. Because when we as we age, right, we want to have not just a quantity of life, but we want to have a quality of life.
That's right. Absolutely.
As well, right? And so the quality of life begins with us.
You're going to make me go outside after this and run around. I'm ready to go.
Let's go, right? And we often say that you need to do this because of your children, because of your spouse, your partner, your family, your other friends, etc. Yes, all of that is important, but you need to do it for you too, because you deserve to be here, right? You deserve to have a quantity and quality of life.
Absolutely.
You deserve it. And everybody that you're connected to are the beneficiaries of the choice and choices that you make, right?
Right.
So that's what this whole thing is about, really. And Jesus talks about loving self, right? Yes, you love your neighbor, but to be truly empowered or to use a springboard to love your neighbor, to love someone else, it has to be intimately connected to love of self. That's appreciation and affirmation of self as well. Yes.
The body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, right?
The temple of the Holy Spirit.
And it's got to be working and running smoothly.
Yeah. And our bodies are amazing machines. They genuinely are. And when we do everything that we can to take care of our bodies will do what it can to take care of us.
Amen. I love that. So you were saying, before I rudely interrupted your story, about the various people in the hospitals that were just filling you, like with good education, so forth and so on. What happened after that?
Yes. Every person part of the team, they were giving me something different that I needed. And it was absolutely tremendous, even down to the charge nurse right before I was discharged, and helping me one, not come back to this place, right? And then two, be mindful of the extremes.
Okay.
Because what happens when we have a tragic event,
Mm.
we go to the extreme.
Mm-hmm.
And in the beginning, the extreme is okay. The extreme is okay, right? The extreme of, I'm never eating a cheeseburger ever again in my life.
Ever again, ever.
Right?
Right.
I'm never having a Coca-Cola ever again, right?
Mm-hmm.
And while that is necessary in the beginning, it's also not practical.
Right.
Unless you are that kind of person, right? Where you can just cut off cold turkey and do X, Y, and Z. And as the charge nurse, who was also firm, but she said to me, she loves Pepsi. She loves a Pepsi. And she told the doc, I'm not getting rid of Pepsi. So we need to work something out because I'm not getting rid of Pepsi. What she has done is made major adjustments in every other area of her life. And she has decreased the amount of Pepsis that she has during the month or during the week. And she now uses it more, well, not now, but back then, she uses it more as a reward system for her. So that it's not every day, it's not throughout the week, etc., but maybe 1 or 2 times a month, something like that. But she had to grow to that point as well. So, and so the hospitalist who said right before I was discharged, he said to me, Mr. Jones, what do you do to manage your stress? He said, your heart is a muscle, but it's an emotional muscle. And do you pray? Do you meditate? Because he said, you don't sweat the small stuff. You don't want to compromise your heart when it's already compromised. Right. Whatever you can do to limit your stress, then that's what you need to do. I'll be honest with you, leaving the hospital, I was scared.
Yeah, I mean, limit your stress in today's world, and you're a pastor and leading people. Okay, sure, no stress.
I was also scared because in the hospital, I was being taken care of. Yeah. I'm an admitted baby, okay? I don't like pain, I'm going to be very compliant. Baby me, please.
Make all my meals so I know what to eat.
Do it all.
Do it all. And I'll just take it.
Yes. Yeah. And so now I'm being escorted to the car, and now I have to be responsible for me. And I say I have to be responsible for me because yes, I have a spouse. A wonderful, exceptional, and lovely woman who is strong, who is independent, who is able to run the world. But I have to go back to that word that I used earlier, ownership. Right. That I'm not going to place that responsibility on my wife to manage my medication, to manage my nutrition, etc. While she can be a supplement, right? She is not the primary person. Right. So I need to know what my medications are, right? I need to know what does it mean to live a heart healthy lifestyle.
Right? And the dosage amount, you need to know the milligrams.
Absolutely, you are absolutely right. Yeah. And I'm not providing critique for those who have partners who are better at managing that. I'm not providing critique. You do what works for you, right? You utilize the support system that you have. For me, I needed to take ownership and to learn this new life that I have to live. And the best way for me to do that is to take responsibility for and to learn a new language, to put in the necessary, to make the investment in me and not to place that investment on others, because that is a hardship. Being a caregiver is a hardship.
Yes.
And it does not mean that we don't love the one that we're caring for, that we don't care for the one, but over some time, it can take its toll.
Absolutely.
And my wife is now going to have to be the primary person running the church, right? The primary person running the family. And I don't want to be a burden to my wife. Can she handle it? Yes. However, it's still my responsibility to love me and to take ownership for me. And Colin, this is a part of it. And this is what is required. And this is what just needs to be done. So let's go.
Let's go. Let's go.
Oh.
This hour has flown by. We need another 3 hours to dissect everything.
Yes.
But I do want to know what you're doing now that was different. And I want to know about this program that you're starting.
Yes. No, I appreciate the opportunity. So as was mentioned, I went back into the hospital this past May. After my daughter graduated from Emory in Atlanta, a few days after that, I started having some chest pain again, and chest discomfort. It wasn't that intense burning. It wasn't nausea. It wasn't any of those type of symptoms that I experienced before. It was just this discomfort that I have not experienced since 5 years previously.
Okay.
And so the results, make a long story short, I just had a nuclear stress test. My results came back abnormal.
Okay.
And so they thought that something was going on with my left ventricle. And so we are still in the process of ironing those things out, which is going to bleed into the program, right?
Okay.
But it's extremely important, as I was talking, because I'm still connected to. So after the hospital 5 years ago, I was automatically enrolled into a cardiac rehab program, and I'm still connected to one of the individuals who runs that program. Okay. And whenever I have questions or concerns, I always shoot her up and talk to her, and she helps walk me through what's going on to provide more and more education. Because
that's so important.
The way to limit fear is to increase your awareness.
Okay.
You can't get rid of fear.
Right.
But you can increase your awareness, increase your knowledge, and that helps to limit fear. And so what she was sharing with me, which I very much appreciated and totally embrace, that what happened a few weeks ago is a reset.
Okay. Yeah. We need them all the time, don't we?
Do, right? It is a reset. It is a regroup, refocus on what the goal is, what the dreams are, and what you desire to do, etc. And to create a vision for how you want to look internally. Okay. Right? Not just externally. When we make our visions, I want to lose weight, I want to look a certain kind of way, we have this vision for how we want to look outside of our bodies, right? Externally. Instead of having a vision for how we want to look internally. Because if we get the internal vision accurate, right, then the internal will manifest itself physically as well. It's a dual approach. So one of the programs that I'm working on is, what are some, it's called Stack the Deck.
Stack the deck.
And how can you stack the deck in your favor to prevent or to limit a heart attack, and then cardiovascular disease overall? The Black community is hit hard as it relates to heart disease. Heart disease is the leading cause of death amongst men and women, regardless of race and ethnicity.
Wow.
And when it comes to the Black community in particular, 44.8%, I believe it is, affects Black males have cardiovascular disease. That's 44%.
Yeah.
Affected with cardiovascular. That's huge,
Huge.
right? Amongst Black women, 47% of Black women have been diagnosed with cardiovascular disease.
Wow.
Yet this is not something that we are talking about and view it as urgent.
Yeah.
And so, what can I do? What role can I play to be a part of prevention? Prevention. So but the list by no means is exhaustive. But there are some quick 6 practical ways that we can limit cardiovascular disease. There's this movie called The Hunger Games.
Yeah.
And there's a line in The Hunger Games that says, may the odds be ever in your favor.
Yes.
So how can we tip the scale towards us to limit cardiovascular disease and to limit you having a heart attack? Because trust me, I don't ever want to go through that experience again.
I know that's right.
And I don't want anyone else to go through that experience again. And so number one is to learn to learn about nutrition.
Okay.
And I got my doctorate degree. I was headed in another direction, but when I had the heart attack, I requested for permission to change my dissertation into my focus and to really zero in on health and wellness. And the program that I implemented in Advent was a 90-day body transformation. And we talked about nutrition. And I was very intentional on not giving anyone a meal plan. That's not what this is about. Because what happens when you give people a meal plan, they can follow it, right? But they really have no idea what they're doing. Right. And so to learn about nutrition.
And they can't follow it once the meal plan's gone. Yeah.
Once the meal plan is gone. Yeah. And so to learn about protein, to learn about healthy fats, to learn about carbohydrates, to learn about how does soda or pop affect your body, etc. So to learn about nutrition and to live a heart healthy lifestyle. For example, to live a heart healthy lifestyle, you need to consume. I was given a 2,000 milligram of sodium per day limit. 2,000 sodium milligram. Now, and a half a teaspoon of salt. I might not have this totally accurate, but a half a teaspoon of salt is 2,300 milligrams of sodium. Something like that. So if I have half a teaspoon of salt added to foods that we already eat, I'm already over my 2,000 restriction, right? So what are ways in which that we can make adjustments to the seasoning of our foods, right? So you use Mrs. Dash, right? Instead of Lowry's.
Love Lowry's.
right. And it's say that you can't ever have.
Yeah.
But in terms of the overwhelming majority of time of the food that you consume, and you can season your food and it still tastes good, right? Mrs. Dash or other types of seasonings can help when it comes to improving your nutrition, right? Limiting red meat, right? And as my cardiologist told me, he said, Mr. Jones, if you want a steak, eat a steak, right? The issue is you not eating a steak. The issue is you consuming red meat on a consistent basis.
Every day.
Right. Hamburgers, you have your steak, you have your lamb, you have all this red meat that's a part of our normal diets, and it's contributing to our illnesses, right? The overconsumption of dairy. So I have had to learn how to limit my red meat consumption and to limit my dairy consumption. Now, I have not gone to be vegetarian, even pescatarian, although that is an option.
Right.
When it comes to chicken, which I love, I limit my consumption of the thighs and the legs, and try to learn how to prepare breast in a way that doesn't dry out, right?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Or to have turkey, right? So there are other options that were not necessarily as readily available in terms of me going to the store and purchasing those items.
Yes.
And I also had to re-examine how I ate growing up, right?
Colin, I'm gonna have to have you back on. you had six. You had six.
So there's 6 weeks.
Nutrition.
Nutrition. There is consistent exercise.
Okay.
Just get your body moving. Your job is not to look like Terry Crews or to look like The Rock, right? That might be what you want, but that's not the overall point.
Or Beyonce.
Or Beyonce or J-Lo, right? The overall point is just to get the body moving, right?
Okay.
The very simple thing. Do you have a physician? Watch this, that you can trust. I know that there are some in the community that don't have a trust for medical professionals.
Right.
But in the end, that is going to be to your detriment.
Keep shopping until you find.
That's right. The one that you can have a good relationship with. Learning family history is
that's good.
Critical. My father had cardiovascular disease. My father had an enlarged heart. He had a pacemaker. My uncle on my mother's side died at the age of 43 of a heart attack. My cousin at the age of 40, who I buried a month before I had my heart attack, died of cardiovascular disease. So it was all surrounding my family, but I did not connect the dots. I did not think that they are me and I am them. We are all in this thing together. So to increase your awareness of family history helps to improve your lot, right? Being more consistent with your medication. You know, I have carvedilol, I'm on rovastatin, I have lisinopril, spironolactone, I take aspirin. So I take so I take these medications on a consistent basis. And the more I change my life, I can limit the dosage and or they will take off 1 or 2 of these medications as well. So just because you get on the medication doesn't mean that that's it, right?
Yes.
But the more you change your life, then you can limit the medications that you're required to take, and you can limit the dosages as well. So be mindful of nutrition, exercise, physician, family history, taking your medications as you're supposed to, and the mental health contributes to
absolutely
the stress that we live on our day-to-day life, not here or there, but the consistent stressors in our life. We have to find a way to A, get rid of them, or B, limit them, because that is also taking away from our overall quality of life. So,
Reverend Dr. Colin Jones, thank you so much for coming on today. I want to have you back maybe in Heart Health Month, because you are doing this program, Stack the Deck, those 6 points. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're gonna say goodbye for today, but you're coming back, because this is information we all must learn.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And God bless you.
God bless you.